This program is rated MA. It contains adult themes, coarse language, sexual references, and violence.
It is. What's up? It's open comms, Friday night. I think I pushed that to the start. Technical difficulties as always at the beginning, although that was a light one. All right, so it's a light crew tonight. Dirk is off in Eve Northeast, and DC is still out on his honeymoon. But we got me, Rain, and Blastum, and LB here, and then we also have Rodent joining us. How's it going, Rodent?
Hey guys, what's up?
He does a station trading podcast over on EVNT, and we needed someone that actually knows what money is and how money works to come tell us how the moon mining changes are going to actually affect the game. What's supposed to be the top right? No, I'm not supposed to be the top right. I'm always in the top left. Anyway, so now I'm a little excited, so I actually am going to swing off the show right with a shot. This is kind of like a little self-promotion.
Well, are we going to dedicate it to someone? We have a lot to talk about.
We have a lot to talk about.
We have a lot to talk about. This is going to be really quick. We're going to start off a shot. Yeah, we'll throw this one out. Okay, so just to be real quick, Chester Bennington passed away yesterday. He was the singer for Linkin Park, and he was also Dead by Sunrise, and then just recently he was replaced Scott Weiland as the singer for Stone Temple Pilots.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people. So the chat room is currently followers only. I don't know how you disable that.
How the hell does it go to followers only?
I don't know, but so anyway, yeah. So he passed away. I know I've seen a lot of Twitter and Facebook stuff. He's kind of like, he was only 41. A lot of millennials liked him.
41.
Everyone really knows who Linkin Park is, whether you really like them or not. Like, you kind of knew who Linkin Park was. So his death kind of hit a lot of people pretty hard. It was actually a death to suicide, which is really upsetting. So Broadcast for Reps, if you're ever in the spot where you need to reach out, definitely do that. Don't think you're alone in the struggles of life.
Yep, definitely.
And it is not a porn name, according to Sadist J.
Yeah, and you see what Seabass SA said?
We are saying you hope you did the unhost. Yep.
And then we are out of hosting.
Yep.
No.
I saw it kick us out. It kicked us out, so we're definitely live. I can see it on my end.
No, we're live. I do a different method. I just start streaming with the up next title and then wait for it to come up on the screen that I run it. So, but anyway, yeah. So we'll throw a shout out to Chester.
Shots. And then
Shooter was calling for shots. Shooter, there's a new way you could call for shots now. And I'll type it in chat. But all right, so let's get to some quick Eve topics. Oh god. Okay, here we go.
Gonna start at the top.
Now that okay, now I had to pull it
let's
up.
get started at the top.
So the agency missions came out last week. This is
Tuesday. I thought they came out Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday the 18th.
Well, I consider last week. I just go with the weeks based on when this show happens. So
you go. I
don't know. What time is it? What day is it? I just know. I just know what Friday is. But anyway, so
it's Tito's time.
It's Tito's time. So the agency missions, they're pretty simple. It's basically like the old daily missions, but these aren't daily. They're just you get to them when you get to them, and you stack up. What do they call them? I'm calling them points. I don't know what they.
They're points.
Points, and you can use eventually when you rack up a certain amount of points, you just get rewards. The rewards, in my opinion, on this though are a little underwhelming.
I've heard that from a lot of people. So they'd offered Plex, and so if you
you just cut out Rain.
one Nuplex. Were you talking, Drayden? I saw your mouth move, but you didn't.
Yeah, well, you cut out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, but no. So it's
From the
only
top.
like from the top. So it's only like I think the first reward's like a Plex. I think there's a skin for the final reward. There's a booster at some point, but the boosters aren't even that great. Normally from other events, they've had boosters kind of give you training time. This booster, I think the one you get for logging in is like velocity or something along those lines. Yeah. This extra one really isn't that great. I mean, it might be great for like a small PvP advantage, but it's not something you're just like dying or trying to sell, buy or trying to sell or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing with all those, the Plex rewards are, I mean, 1 Plex is like 2 or 3 million. 4 Plex is like, 8 to 10 million or 12 million, whatever. Those aren't that incentivizing. I mean, if you get one, it's like cool, but the booster, now that's what I'm wondering, is that the only place to get that booster? I'm assuming so, since they call it the agency booster.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so there's technically 2. So you get one upon immediately logging in, and it lasts 30 minutes, and that's the velocity one I've noticed, at least for me. I don't know if it changes for each person, but
you got a velocity one?
Yeah, so it increases velocity like 3%, which you're like, okay, that's not a big deal. But when you PvP, and especially like the Alliance tournament, that's a big deal. So
I have a different one. I wonder if everyone has random ones, because the one I have gives 1800 seconds, and it's a 3% boost to shield and armor reps.
Oh, so okay, so it must be different.
Yeah, it's different.
Or maybe it changes day to day when you log in. I'm just
no, it's been that one every single day I've logged in. So I think it's just like each person has their own randomized one. That's kind of cool actually. That there's a bunch of. I thought it was all gonna be the same armor repping one.
No, I don't think so. Well, but didn't they say with the Alliance tournament that those won't be in effect for the Alliance tournament?
I thought they said it would. I know Logibro had a forum post, and he said they would be in effect, or if they are in effect, then you have the option of having CCP actually remove it from your character, because you don't. So like with other events, you would get the option as a booster. So as an item in your inventory, you could consume it or you could sell it and buy it. Whereas this one is just kind of like instantly activated. There's no way to get rid of it. People have talked about, I think like potting doesn't get rid of it, self-destructing doesn't get rid of it.
It's just a timer. Yep.
Yeah, and then I know they have a booster actually for as a reward, so I'm not sure if that's an additional one that you have to consume, or if that's just immediately the moment you're able to receive it, if it's just active on your account.
It says the rewards will be delivered to your redeeming system, so.
All right, so I'm
automatically consume it.
Yeah, you can redeem them wherever you want, so it's like a safe transfer.
All right, so that must be like an actual in-game item. But I know people have been complaining or talking about how the rewards aren't that great. And then there's also been talks because some of the agency missions that you have to do, like they're not like as like I want to say engaging. Like it's shooting rats in an asteroid belt, it's shooting rats in a combat site. But people have also said like you have to use a T3 cruiser or battle cruiser for some of them, which I think those ones are actually bugged. But even so, like as an alpha character, you can't use a T3 strategic cruiser. And if you're going to use a battle cruiser, you can only use the Gnosis. So like all these newbies can't really participate, whereas with other events, CCP has really focused and pushed for it to be like alpha inclusive. Like everyone can do it. It's engaging. It's forcing you to work together with people, or potentially to PvP against each other if they steal your loot.
That's only 2 of the missions though that require them to do that. But isn't that a good incentive to get them to go to Omega?
It could be, but at the same time, I think the way they countered it was you only get 4 points for completing that task or mission, I guess. Whereas with the other agency missions, you get 10 points. So when you're trying to work up to, it's like 150 points or something along those lines, being concerned about the 4 points and the 10 point, or the 4 points isn't really as critical as being concerned about the 10-point missions.
Okay, sorry, I was kidding in chat. Some people are asking. Dirk's not here this week. He is at Eve Northeast. That was something else that we'll be bringing up just a second once we're done with agency stuff. But yeah, so I mean, the skin though, that's like the top prize. Now that's another thing. Like if the booster is different for everyone, is the skin different for everyone? Like what skin do you have on the top of your list, Rain?
I have the Tengu one.
Like the dark gray one.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah, maybe that's the same for everyone then.
I got the same one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm sorry, Zvest. I said Zvest. I didn't say to use some people. But yeah, so I don't know. I that's the other thing that I was kind of underwhelmed. I was like, I'm fine with all the previous prizes being like, you know, whatever. If it gave a really cool skin, and the skin is like almost the same as the, you know, vanilla Tengu skin. The actual regular Tengu skin's almost better because it's like a little more vibrant and lighter gray. This one's just like a dark gray with the same white lines.
Well, actually, speaking of skins, so this is the first time we've actually had T3 cruiser skins. So just the fact that we even have Tengu skins is like amazing. And then CCP also released, I think, four different types of skins for each ship, so there's not like a common theme amongst them. But they look really cool. I think the Tengu one was like black and red. It looked really neat.
No, well, that's a different skin. That's not the one that's the prize for the agency.
No, it's not a prize, but it's a skin overall because of the T3 cruiser changes.
I was looking through the Tengu skins and I saw that one. I was like, that's the one I want. I will bust my ass on agency missions to get that.
I was to say, I think you can actually purchase it for pretty cheap. It doesn't take a lot of Plex. So if you want to use real life money or in-game money, it's actually pretty cheap and it looks really, really nice. I don't really fly T3 cruisers.
Yeah, I found one of those on the market in 1DQ's Keepstar, but it was like 300 million. I was like, I bet it's a lot cheaper somewhere else.
Let's go to Jita. Like, don't you have a Jita alt?
Yeah. Yeah. But that requires, like, you know, switching logins and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Why don't we
I don't
use
want to.
contract it to your main and then activate it remotely?
Yeah, too many clicks there.
Oh my gosh.
I'm kidding. Yeah,
So,
I'll look at that, but I don't fly Tengus. That's the
Hashtag
other
effort.
reason. That I don't really fly Tengus very much.
yeah. I was gonna say I can fly all of the T3Cs, but like I just don't. But at the same time, I kind of want to collect the skins because they look so fucking cool.
Well, yeah, I collect. Now that's the other thing with the Now we talked about the exoplanet Project Discovery stuff last week. Now you get skins each time you level up. You get a random exoplanet skin for a random ship, and a lot of people have been like collecting those and wanting to sell them. I've been.
Drayden dropped out there for a second too.
What?
Okay.
Oh man.
You just dropped on.
Is it my internet that's going to shit?
God, I hope not.
I hope not. Also, I don't know. But yeah. So the man, where was I?
Project Discovery.
Project
started
Discovery
right there.
skins. A lot of people are like collecting those and selling it. I just every time I get one, I just inject it. Like I will take every skin and just inject that shit over selling it.
Nice.
Oh, I've got some skins. I've been collecting them. I've got a Kestrel skin. I think we're gonna contract to Satonia.
Yeah. No, the exoplanet skins. So there are blue and orange, and some ships already have blue. Some ships already have orange, so they're not really new for some ships. But I think overall, I think it's the one skin that's like consistent amongst every ship, and it's not only for T1 ships. I think they have it for faction ships. They have it for T2, for T3. So they have it like I want to say it's one of the few skins that they have for like almost every ship.
Yeah, I have no intention of ever flying a Titan, but if I got a Project Discovery Titan skin, I would get a Titan. That would be the one thing that made me get that.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been doing the Project Discovery stuff, and I find it actually really fun. It's sometimes difficult, sometimes buggy, but it's like super exciting to then just like open all these boxes with like random ass skins I may or may not ever use.
Yeah, and yes, I did shoot her. Project Discovery, like, I was really excited. I still am excited about it. I like what it is, but man, that shit makes no sense to me. Like, I understand what I'm supposed to be doing, but then it's like, okay, there's nothing here, no transits, and it's like, oh no, what about all these? And it's like just these tiny little things that are buried in the giant noise, and they don't look any different than everything around them. I'm like, how? Come on, how the fuck is that a planet?
You just gotta try, Drayden.
I do try.
There is a trick. I haven't figured it out yet, but there is definitely when you're looking at the sample for just your score accuracy. There is some definite stuff there, but what the thing is, it's applying crowdsourcing methodology, and it's really difficult to understand when you got one for crowdsourcing and data collection, and the one that's I found, like, I just do no transits now probably 75% of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so man, people are thirsty as fuck. They already want more shots.
I know.
We could do well, this would be
You told them the command? The shots command?
Well, I don't know if it works for everyone.
I just did it. Drink.
some people can do it. Some people can't. I don't know. But yeah, well, we could do a shot with this next one coming up because Eve Northeast is currently going on, and that's where Dirk is right now. He's there. He's got. I mean, Jamie McLean's there. I think it's CCP. Yeah, Asen is there. Yeah, he was on the last couple weeks with us as well. He's out there. Miss McGurk and all this and everyone else. But the CCP devs that they sent out there, CCP Fozzie, and oh shit, we just got a cheer. Cork is gone. 500 bits. Thanks, man, for the cheer. And yeah, we'll be doing a shot for that as well. CCP Fozzie and GM Archduke are who CCP sent out there. Which is interesting that they sent Fozzie, who is the CCP dev that a lot of people are having gripes with right now. They're like, we're going to send you out into the middle of nowhere in the forest with a bunch of disgruntled nerds. Have fun.
It's a trap.
Have fun with that.
I mean, it should be fun. He needs our
No.
vibe.
It's like people can gripe at Fozzie all they want, but he's actually really cool to talk to, like hang out with. So
He is. And he
I
also
don't know a
doesn't let
single
shit bother him.
CCP dev that is, there's people like. I never hung out with Grayscale. I don't think he was ever at a meet that I was at, but I bet even Grayscale would be fun to go drinking with. It's just people didn't like the changes he made.
We doing shots to the Eve
Shots.
Northeast
Yeah, all right,
nerds?
So, we're going to do shots for Eve Northeast. We're going to do shots Cork is God, throwing in those bits. Whew. All right, I mean, there isn't really much to say on that. Now, don't worry about it, because next week, Dirk's going to be back, and we are going to have tons of... The whole show is going to basically be Eve Northeast recap, so we'll pass on that for now. 'Cause
Well,
we'll
actually,
be covering a lot of that next week. Unless, if you got something to say.
I was gonna say Dirk will be doing that, and I think he's giving away 20
Right.
billion ISK.
Yeah. He told us to
Forgot
not.
why, but yeah.
He
I
forgot
think it's in
to.
honor of his 20,000th tweet.
That's
Oh,
what
it's
it was.
20,000.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
he told us to
20,000
not
tweet,
forget to
okay.
mention that. I almost did. Good catch. But next week Dirk will be giving out 20 billion for his 20,000th tweet.
If you follow Dirk on Twitter, unfollow him just for his spite.
I'm assuming that will be in several increments. I don't think there's gonna be like one 20 billion-ish prize, but show up to the show. We'll do a bunch of rigged rolling and give the ISK out to like the same person over and over. It'll be great.
Just host.
The what?
Just the host will get one.
We've never given it out to the host, but I have to admit that there was that one show where I rolled my own name like 4 times in a row, and
Oh yeah, seriously, Rick.
Remember
Clearly
that.
rigged.
yeah, I know it's
Rigged.
it's fate. I was supposed to win that money, but I didn't get it. Anyway, so one of the other things. Now, this was something that I just saw. I don't even look at Reddit, so I don't even remember where I saw this. Someone linked it somewhere. And I think someone linked it in local, and I clicked on a link in local, which is really stupid, but I did it. And it was actually really good. So it's now I'm going to post it. Give me 1 sec. All right, so this is like just a quick little story, but apparently in Delve there's a bunch of mining drama, and
Oh
this-
man.
now this is what happens when you are way too rich for your own good.
He was rich and drunk.
Rich, yeah, he was drunk. LB was in comms with him when this, well, not when he actually self-destructed, but when the fight was going on. So this guy was a big miner, and he got really pissed off at all the people out. Now this is out in Delve, so it's goon space. Like, he was really pissed at all the people coming in and cherry picking all the good ores out of his belts. And so in protest, he went to the 1DQ Keepstar in his Nyx and self-destructed on the undock.
This was like 2 hours after he started spurging in Theta chat about how people are cherry picking and how there should be rules laid down in Delve for mining. There's 2 hours of spurg, drunken spurg, egged on by everyone in
2
Theta chat,
hours.
and then self-destruct and Nyx off the Keepstar. Perfect.
Yeah,
But
okay,
the
so yeah,
good
he was
thing-
ASCII.
The good thing is, it was salvaged in under 5 minutes. Just saying.
Yeah, it was quick. That was one of the replies in the Reddit thing that I thought was really funny. Someone was mentioning that like the space was dirty, and someone's like, on the contrary, we cleaned it up immediately. He said it in a lot funnier
So-
terms than that, but this
I was
isn't.
gonna say,
Go ahead.
Can you explain cherry picking? You said he was a miner.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, so cherry picking
So-
is
Okay.
you have the best ores. Like there's Arcanor, Bistot, Crocite, like generally the best ores because they have the highest value minerals. And so cherry picking is you go into the belts, you mine all the Arcanor, Bistot, and Crocite, and you leave all the shit. And so basically the people that want to kill the belt so it'll respawn and not have to wait till downtime, they're stuck mining garbage. And they don't get any boosts anywhere. So like cherry picking is you go take the good stuff, you leave all the crap for someone else to clean up because you don't want to deal with it. Kind of shitty, but at the same time, I don't know if I would self-destruct a Nyx over it.
Not a Nyx. Nope.
Yeah, like this is essentially the equivalent of someone getting pissed that their roommate took the last Hot Pocket, and so they go and slam their Corvette into the side of a building and be like, "That'll fucking show you, you son
You
of a
ate the
bitch for
last
taking
Hot
that
Pocket?
Hot Pocket."
That's so good,
That's
though,
a
man.
really good analogy. That's really
Like
good.
that's
Perfect.
exactly what this is. And the fact that it's like he probably didn't even care. He's just like, yeah, fuck it, it's just a Nyx, no problem. Like they fucking
I
like
think he was gonna do another one.
yeah, I mean like now the Imperium pumping out all these super capitals like crazy. That's not necessarily like, people personally pumping them out and putting them in their wallet. That's like some of it's like alliance funded, but a lot of it is like they mine all this shit. It's all like internally like traded. So like money is getting transferred around between people in alliances and in the coalition, but there's a
Just
lot
loot
of
box,
super
man.
capitals getting pumped out. But it's not like someone else mined all that shit and just gave it that guy a super capital. So he had to mine that stuff for himself. Oh man, someone's asking what a hot pocket is. Please tell me you're joking.
Oh, I think White Light Knight isn't American, so.
Oh
you
well, if you ever
It's
come to
a-
America, it's actually the epitome of American cuisine.
It's a
Um,
delicious pastry pocket filled with meats and cheeses that you microwave, and usually the outside is scalding hot and the center is frozen.
Yeah, that's
Solid gold.
exactly what it is.
It's like a meme now with like gamers because, like you said, you microwave it and it counts as like a meal or some shit. A
Yeah.
meal. It's like a college student gamer thing.
Yeah,
so it's like super
it's-
cheap. You buy a bunch and they're like you eat them, but they're not really like that great.
Yeah, it's kind of like a really shitty microwavable micro calzone. It's kind of like the idea of it.
Yeah, I guess so.
If you don't value your gums, yeah, that's a perfect thing
Yeah.
to eat.
That's very true. But yeah, this like I saw that story. I was like, this can't be real. And so I was asking some people in and when I saw the story, it was actually like only a couple hours after it happened. I was asking people in my corp, and they're like, "Yeah, no, that happened. I watched it."
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, I was in those
Way too
comments
much
for
money.
about 5 minutes, and then I had to leave because it was too much to listen to. And then I was watching the fleet chat scroll by, and then it saw he self-immolated a Nyx outside the Keep Star.
But like I want to see that. Now that actually brings me to another point. All these people are trying to destroy goons by invading them. All you actually got to do is just infiltrate a bunch of mining spies and just cherry pick every build in Delve, and you will destroy the entire super capital fleet of the Imperium. Like they will
Goons
just
self-destruct their
they
own
will just
supers.
self-destruct their whole super capital fleet because they have no more Arcanor to fucking mine. Like that, they won't do it themselves. So
Shit's sad but true.
Fleets of Cloaky Ventures flying through Delve, cherry picking all the belts.
You damn ventures.
Operation Washington, kill all the cherries.
Oh my god.
Yeah, did you like that? That was a shitty pun joke, but I did
I
it.
got it. I got it.
I did it. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So the other thing we're gonna move on to. All right. Well, we will eventually get to the moon mining stuff, but we gotta kill all this stuff early. We're doing all right on time. We'll have plenty of stuff for that.
Trying to get Rodin really drunk so he doesn't make any sense, so that way
Yeah.
we can follow
that-
along.
That's the whole point. Let's
I
say
prepared
this was
2
in
rounds for
Idaho. What
this,
the
don't
fuck?
worry.
You didn't stop by, bro. Now this Alright, so I gotta make sure I have the right window active. I'm trying to make sure I'm not
Changes?
slight scanning changes.
So good.
But
Oh my God.
I gotta make
They're
sure my mic
slight,
doesn't
but
get
they
muted.
are 1,000 times better.
Oh
than
yeah, yeah,
this.
yeah. So now the scanning is what I read in this, and like, so the August update is a few scanning updates, but they're really nice quality of life updates. So really quick, I linked it in chat there. When using the save location option on entries in the probe scanner window, the signature ID will now be automatically added to the front of the bookmark name, which is fucking awesome. So that you can cross-reference if you need to, and you don't be like, oh shit, I just like saved these 3 things that are like the same thing. So that's nice. And now this is actually what I find even better than that, because a lot of times I'll name the stuff to where I can figure it out anyway. But when you scan sources, they won't disappear until you log out. Yeah, until you log out. Normally, like if you scan stuff, they'll stay in system. But if you dock up or change session change, like go to another system, you lose those. You have to come back. You have to rescan them if you didn't bookmark them. Now it's like they will persist until you log out of the game.
And yeah, I was gonna say, I know the moment they like tweeted that, I think it was Sledgehammer, and then I was like just watching my Twitter feed, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, this is life changing!" Especially those who live in wormholes, or you scan with one ship, want to warp with another ship. It's amazing.
All right,
We're long doing overdue. Shots. Good stuff. Long overdue, but good stuff. Yeah.
We're doing
shots.
The
team.
Something I'm really excited about. That my fucking emote on my channel got approved today, so now I can put that little emote in chat when I want shots. I was wondering. I was like, man, are they ever gonna do anything with it? It's been a month since I submitted that, and it finally got approved today. Like literally today. So it was a good day for it. But yeah, we're gonna do shots. To what?
I love you.
The Team Psycho Sisters.
No,
Okay.
yeah, Team Psycho Sisters.
Team
that was
Psycho.
great.
Oh yeah, this was a good.
And
update.
Team 5-0.
Team 5-0.
It's like, yep.
Woo. Now the other thing is NPC standings UI. Like it'll show NPC standings on stuff that you scan down. I'm assuming. I didn't quite get that.
I'm not sure.
Is that what it's meaning with
I don't
that?
get
Like
that one either.
it basically says there is new
yeah,
standings
NPC
UI.
standings.
Both tabs are
I'm
currently
not sure
active.
how helpful that is, but
So
I don't know if that's
standings are
even
usually
useful.
shown in like your character portrait or whatever, and like sometimes they're kind of. I mean, it's not hard to read, but it's not like the easiest thing to find or to read. So I'm guessing they're gonna improve that. That's what I thought it was.
Does that mean they're giving the color code to NPCs?
Maybe, or maybe it's like
Maybe.
can use like level 3s, can use level 4s,
Oh,
or whatever. Maybe
gotcha,
something like
okay.
that.
All right, we just got
That's a
a
little confusing.
$3.33 donation from an anonymous donator, and I have to admit I am really sorry. The text that you put in with that donation was covered up by the chat overlay. Oh, sorry, a hiccup. Whisper me in chat. I'm gonna exit. Whisper me in chat what you said, and I'll give you a shout out for it. But yeah, so the UI or the NPC standings, like I don't know. I didn't see anything like super important there. I don't know. Maybe other people have a use for it. Now this is where the giant bulk of this update is a bunch of changes to the beta map. I didn't even read through all these because I never used the beta map. I still use the old school map.
not a fan of
But
the beta map.
I
It just
read.
needs to be flat.
Oh no, I like the 3D map. You go to flat map?
Yeah. So the new
What?
map. Do you use the new map? Or do you use the old map?
Oh,
I
it
use the
was
old.
sadist.
Yeah, I was gonna say the old map is the better map. The new one has like definitely needs some work on it because like the new map is very difficult to like see things. So a lot of times when you're trying to like set destinations, like if you're a PvPer roaming in Losec, you say, okay, how many people have died in the system, or how many people are like currently active in the system, and the new map doesn't show that at all. Whereas the old map shows very distinct, like if there's not a lot of people or not a lot of activity, it'll show like a smaller circle or a smaller glow,
Yeah.
if you want to call it that, with like yellowish. It's like yellowish green. Whereas like if there's a lot of activity and a lot of stuff going on, it's like bright and red. So like when I would say like World War B was happening, with the old map you could definitely tell where fights were happening, like in the north, with the old map. Whereas the new map, it's just like they're all the same size of circle and the color only slightly changes. So you could have one person active or 50 people active and they look the same. The only time you could tell a difference if it was like 1 to 1,000. And so the new map definitely needs some work. I haven't read those updates yet. I don't think
There's a lot of
forum
them.
post.
And I read some of that. Like it does seem like they're starting to make it a little bit more like the old map in the fact of some of the information. Oh, rain just dropped. Oh, no, she's back.
I dropped too.
Oh, man.
Oh,
Do you guys have like
okay.
a storm front
Yeah.
going?
I don't.
I don't know.
No. Well,
Yeah,
maybe
my
it's
Skype
that
had a
net
weird thing.
neutrality fucking
Bottlenecking us.
yeah, net neutrality's getting shafted. But it seems like okay. So a lot of the they're changing it to where like when you select regions, it will like highlight all the jump lines in a certain color. You know, kind of like the old map where you can like separate regions by color lines, and you know various stuff like that. To where like, it was a lot easier to differentiate between the different regions. Clicking on a system will then show the names of the systems in that same constellation. So it's pretty much it looks like they're moving the functionality of the new beta map to what the old map was, but just because the new map looks better. It does. Like when you zoom in, like the whole system looks so much better, but it doesn't have the functionality of the old map that I'm used to, and so that's why I haven't switched over yet. But it looks like they're moving in that direction. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff on here where it's like I really just don't use the map enough. Like I don't live and die by the map. I use the map to literally just like, oh, let me see what's over here. Right click, set destination. Cool. I'll just blind jump the rest of the way. I mean, so I'm not a big map user, so I wasn't super interested in a lot of this stuff. But I could see like people that really are into the map stuff, like give this a look. Pretty sure I linked it. Yeah, well, okay, so Captain Strong is saying nothing wrong with the new map. There's nothing wrong with the new map. It just doesn't have as much features as the old map does because the old map was fully incorporated. Where the new map, that's why they still say it's called the beta map because it's still in beta. They're still working on it.
Yeah, when you actively use the old map for like I said, like solo PvPing, solo roaming, trying to find fights, it's pretty terrible. So I want the new one. If the new one had all the stuff that the old one had, I would probably have no issue with it. But it doesn't, and that's what bothers me.
The nice thing that the new map does, it gives you the ability to zoom into the system itself, like flawlessly. Like that is like if they could take basically how the old map was and incorporate basically that function into it, which I think they're doing is they're starting with that and like incorporating the bits of the old map functionality over to it, which is great. But it'll take some time. But it's like that was the one thing about the new map that it's like. This is really cool. It just seems less navigable than the old map was, and there isn't you can't like set all the what are they called, the metrics or whatever to like look at all the different stars with those metrics. But yeah. So anyway, that's pretty much this update. Like the main thing about this update was the scanning changes, and it's mainly that one change that you don't have to bookmark everything before you leave system. You can be like, oh, I'll get it later, which is great. Like I fucking love that because I actually do like scanning and doing the hacking sites.
Yeah, PvE, fun. Yeah. Yeah.
Drayden, are you on mute?
Am I? Fuck me. Alright, you know what?
Reported.
Triggered.
Alright, that's it. Swapping it. Open mic. I'll just mute it when I need to,
Oh
make
no.
noise.
Now you're gonna have to like go to the bathroom and everyone's gonna hear it.
No.
We're gonna
That's
hear 'em
the
ripping
okay.
fat
That's a
steaks.
benefit to all you guys that I got a actual stand-up mic that sits on my desk and I don't use this thing anymore.
Oh, okay.
So I can still listen to you guys when I do that, but I can't talk anymore, unfortunately. We'll do muted shots. Fuck. But anyway, so what was I talking about? Man, I lose track.
You were saying how exploration in Delve sucks.
Yeah, exploration in Delve sucks because everyone scans all the sites. Like there is no sites left, so I've been stuck on those two missions forever. Because I literally went through 3 constellations and found one site, and it was a gas site. But yeah, this is why Dirk does all the talking points because he can remember what the hell he was talking about 10 minutes ago. I can't. Like, my brain's on a freaking
See,
hamster wheel.
this is what happens when you smoke weed, Drayden.
Hey, I haven't smoked weed in like 9 years.
2 hours.
No.
I'm just giving you shit.
Well, I haven't smoked weed consecutively for like 9 years. Anyway. Anyway.
Well.
9 minutes. 9 minutes when you look at the clock.
Oh my god.
No, not 9 minutes. No. It's one of those things I might do like once every other year. So it's definitely not a thing anymore. Anyway, yeah,
And
we call
shots.
shots. Let's do shots. All right, so we have this last little section to get to before we move on to the moon mining, the big chunk. This is real world news. We already hit the Chester Bennington thing, so we can cross that out. Now, this is something I don't really want to spend a lot of time on because I'm really afraid of where it's going to go, especially in the chat. Just because it's one of those, anytime you have these controversial political things, especially if it can include or can be related to anything racial, fuck me. Please don't. But O.J. Simpson was released from prison today. Was it today?
No, it was yesterday. They had
Yesterday.
almost like 3 hours coverage, a special report on every single news outlet. And yeah, I was watching it in my office on my tablet, for a while I thought he was just absolutely arguing with the parole people, and I'm like, dude, you went on too long talking about what you shouldn't be talking about here. And then he did show some contrition at the end, and then they all came back like 3 hours later and said, I guess they did kind of like independently just said, yeah, they reached a decision, and then all 4 of them had to agree or unanimous decision. And they had 2 more people that if they weren't going to have a unanimous decision, that they were going to call in from Vegas and say, what do you guys think? So, but yeah, they eventually said, yeah, we're going to release you, and it's going to be October 1st.
So,
so
O.J.
he's not
Simpson's-
out yet, but he's been scheduled to be out. So he's
Yeah.
like on parole. Okay.
So O.J.
So the
Simpson was
juice is
actually convicted. So everyone knows he was tried for the murder of his ex-wife or whatever. That's not what he was convicted of. He was
Right.
convicted of like breaking into a property to try and steal some like collector memorabilia,
he was
sporting
acquitted.
stuff.
He was
So,
acquitted
like-
of the 2 murders, and then he wrote a book
Yeah.
of, if I would have done it, this is how I would have done it, and he basically explained how exactly it was done, so it was kind of like I fucking
Very sketchy
got you
book. And I think
guys, and because
Amazon-
of Double Jeopardy, you can't get me on this. Like, that was kind of
Yeah.
shitty. So, but
I mean,
anyway.
so because everyone knows O.J. Simpson because of that one trial that he was acquitted on, this isn't what he's being tried for, and that's probably why they let him out on parole. I think it was because he was stealing something. It was kind of like quote unquote
Yeah.
a victimless crime, and then I think they
Wait,
said
someone's
the
saying he got
people-
arrested for literally stealing his own shit. Was he stealing his own stuff?
So yeah,
Pretty
so,
much,
so
yeah.
what
It was-
happens
yeah.
It was
is
O.J.
right.
Simpson
So
memorabilia. Is what he was.
yeah, so
O.J. Simpson
when you're an athlete, like you sell a jersey or something like that, or you sign something, and then people take it, and then collectors get it, etc. etc. Like you heard about the Super Bowl, where what's his face's jersey was stolen, right? Like that's like
Yeah,
collector
Tom Brady's.
memorabilia. Yeah, and so it probably, I don't know. I mean, it happened years ago, but it was a circumstance that was probably like he wanted the stuff back. I don't know whether it was probably like
Okay, well
just
that
for him
is
to
still
have it or because of
stealing,
its-
because if you sell
yes.
something of yours to
It is,
someone
yes.
else
It
and then
was-
you take it back, that's stealing. You
Yeah,
sold it. You
so-
don't own it anymore. It's not your shit.
So he was found
Just 'cause
guilty
it has your
of it,
name on
and
it.
then sentenced to like however many years. But I mean, obviously, I guess he's
33.
yeah. So he was doing well in jail. They're letting him go. I think they said the people that technically prosecuted him didn't testify against him again for this the parole hearing. Like they weren't gonna try to keep him there longer. Like they were over it or whatever. So it wasn't like, I mean, like it's kind of a big deal, but kind of not. Like he's known for the trial of his ex-wife, but that's not what this whole case and his parole is
Yeah,
about.
he was acquitted of all that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was interesting. I mean, it was just way too long. The process was only supposed to take like an hour, and then like 3 hours. I mean, I went into a meeting for like 45 minutes. I came back, and he was still talking, and I'm like, dude, shut up. But yeah, it was. Yeah, of course, way back when. I mean, that was, of course, they called it the trial of the century. They called it whatever, the Bronco chase of the century, whatever. But yeah, this actual stuff was him trying to steal his own stuff back, and which he did, and he used a gun in the whole process. But I don't know if he did his time. He did his time. He's 70 years old, and I hope he just goes to Florida and retires, and nobody hears from him again. But I don't think that's going to happen. That's just my personal opinion.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, all right. So we should probably close it out before we get too deep into this. But it's like, you know what? He was acquitted on the other stuff. You can't retry him for that. That's what everyone wants him retried for. The people that don't like OJ, but that won't happen. So. I mean, I'm kind of with Blast on this. Like, you know what? He better not do any shit again. But hopefully he just goes away and disappears into obscurity, because I'm kind of done with the whole OJ thing. Like, I don't know. It's...
All right. Colin, we're going to book that one.
All right, yeah. So, all right, so I had to mention that because it was a big thing. Now here's the last bit of real world news before we get into the moon mining. Now this is something I'm really excited about. This is what I've been wanting to get into, and I actually just found out about it literally today. I was reading a National Geographic magazine, and there's going to be a total solar eclipse in 1 month from today, August 21st, going across the United States. Like literally across the whole United States. Now there are parts of the United States that's going to be really difficult, like unless you want to travel 1,200 miles to get there. But there's a good portion of the U.S. that is within, a 5-hour drive of this thing. And I've never seen one in person, and I'm actually taking vacation days off of work to go see this, like, hands down. I will definitely go see this. Now, I'm going to link you a map. Give me 1 second.
I was going to say, you're talking about a total solar eclipse, not just a partial
solar eclipse. Now, there is, a good portion of the country can see the partial.
I think 100% of the country can see the partial.
Well, partial to a degree,
Can
but I
it?
mean, like, if you like a good partial, like now, like half solar eclipse, I don't think like that's just you see the sun with like it's like a half moon, but it's the sun, which would be cool to see, but not
Yes.
now. You can like there's a good portion that's even gonna be in like the 90% eclipse range, but the total 100% eclipse is gonna be going right across. I'm gonna link you a map.
So,
As soon as I
while
pull it
you're
up.
linking that, Sadis is saying, watch the eclipse directly look straight at the sun. You cannot do that unless you're looking at a, quote, total solar eclipse, which only really happens like 3 minutes, because when you look at the sun, what will happen, like, generally when you look at the sun, your eyes, like, you have to, like, force yourself to look at it, but when there's a partial solar eclipse, your eyes don't really, like, your body doesn't really react to, like, seeing full sun, but you get the full damage of the sun without the protective moon in front of it. The moon is the same shape, or the same size as the sun in the
Yep.
sky. So with a total solar eclipse, it completely eclipses the sun, so you can see like the tendrils and shit. With a partial solar
corona.
eclipse, which is what, not corona.
It's
which is
called the
what, like-
corona. The corona is the outside part of the
Corona's
sun.
a beard rated.
No, I'm
It was
not kidding.
the outside of the sun before it became a
What do you
beer,
think the
Rain.
beer is named
Oh
after?
my
Science
God.
is older than beer.
No, Rain.
You fucking baby boomers. All right, but anyway, so
It's
okay, so the corona, yeah.
scientific, like that's where the beer
No,
got
no,
its
no,
name
so-
from. Is a
so-
corona isn't a. Oh my god.
Yeah. So I want to caution people: don't just go out on the 21st and stare at the sun, because you might be like, "Oh, my eyes are like, if it's bad for me, I'll squint." Like, no, you can literally go blind. They've had people go blind because they don't use protective eyewear.
Pretty
They're
much
being
just as bad
stupid.
looking
Yeah,
at a solar
it's-
eclipse that is looking
It's
at
like
the sun.
putting, yeah. And then people are like, "Oh, well, I'll just use my sunglasses." Sunglasses don't work. If you want solar eclipse glasses, you can Google them. There's like at least 3 different brands that will guarantee 100% you put them on, you can stare at the sun, you won't go blind. But don't, like, please don't fucking stare at the sun. And I'm trying to caution Drayden in particular not to just stare at the sun, because I know he's going to do this.
All right,
Wear
Spartan
two pairs-
box.
two
I
pairs
got
of
I got you set up. He said, "Why is Rain so small?" So I enlarged her a little bit. But anyway, so I would say like this thing is passing right. If you live in Salem, Oregon, front row seats, and I'm gonna be heading down to Oregon. I'm actually gonna probably go down to Salem. And I'm gonna see if Pearl, because I know that he lives in Portland. Maybe get a hold of CCB Rise. He lives in Portland, and see if we can go to have like a little Eve meetup, Eve Salem Solar Eclipse meetup. That'd be sweet. But it crosses around through Salem, like kind of like central northern Oregon, goes right down through southern Idaho. If you live in Boise, you got to maybe go 20 miles north and you'll get the full thing. It's going to go right through Casper, Wyoming, Lincoln, Nebraska, Kansas City's right on the edge. You might want to go 10 miles north just to get the full thing, just in case. Same with St. Louis. You might want to go 10 miles south. Nashville, Tennessee is going right through there. Knoxville, you want to go maybe 10, 20 miles south of that, and it's going to go right through Charleston, South Carolina. So it's going to cut right across the center of the U.S. If you have a chance to see this thing, definitely do. I've never seen one of these in person, but I've heard that they are phenomenal. I've seen... Now, this is the thing that I can agree with, is... I attribute this almost like the Aurora Borealis, like the Northern Lights. You can see those. Everyone's seen footage of the Aurora Borealis. It looks really cool, like these lights going across the sky. I've lived in Alaska and I've actually seen the Aurora Borealis in person, and I can tell you what you see on TV is absolutely jack shit, nothing compared to seeing it in real life. Like, it does not even compare. You cannot actually experience the awe. Don't make fun of me, Raid. You cannot experience...
I'm on massive camera, so
I know.
the
I'll
masses.
shrink you down in a second. But like, you cannot experience the full awe that is the Aurora Borealis without actually seeing it in person. And I've heard that it's the same thing with the solar eclipse, and so that's why I'm so excited that this thing is within like a 6-hour drive of where I live. That it's like I have vacation time, so I'm going to go see it.
So you
And
want
it's
some
gonna be
stats? So some stats. A total solar eclipse only happens about once every 18 months, and the last time it happened in the U.S.,
like
I believe, was the
39 years ago.
1970s.
Yeah, 38, 39 years
so it
ago.
was the 1970s. So that's why people are freaking out. People just want to see it. Everyone's driving to do it. It's like Jordan said. It's something you want to see in real life. You just want to look at it. Don't try to take pictures. It won't compare to what they have online. Just go there and experience the moment.
Now this is one thing. Like this is the crazy thing. As rare as total solar eclipses crossing a similar region at the same time is, usually it happens every several decades. If you can't make this one, like say you're in El Paso in Texas or up in New York, and it's like I can't drive 1,000 miles on a Monday because that's when it's gonna happen to go see this thing. Well, in 7 years after this. So in 2024, there's going to be another total solar eclipse that crosses the U.S. And I'm going to bring up another map, and it's going to cross it almost the opposite, almost like a perpendicular line. So it's going to go like up through Mexico, through Texas, through Arkansas, Missouri, and then up in through New York and out. So let me pull up the next map for you. All right, so that's in chat. So now this thing is going to go up kind of like right through Dallas, like Mexico City to Dallas, up through like, the southeast corner of Missouri, up into Indiana, Ohio, and then through like the northern part of New York and Maine. So if you can't see the one this year, 7 years from now, if you can make that one, go see that one.
So the moral of the story is to move to Missouri. You can see both and don't have to
go
anywhere.
And that's the thing. That's where this is so crazy. Is like it's so rare that you have solar eclipses cross the same section in this short a time. But it's like right in the Missouri, Kentucky area, like right in that border area, like maybe even northern Tennessee. Like that section is going to get a total solar eclipse twice within 7 years. That almost never fucking happens.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, enough on that. Like
clearly, some Canadian doesn't care.
Yeah, that's my space
I'm not
fanboy.
driving 18 fucking hours to see the sun blocked out by a piece of cheese.
Hey, in
Fuck
7
that.
years you can drive to New York. That's a lot closer. Or Maine. You're in like Toronto area, right?
Yeah, sure, around there.
Or Ontario.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, like New York's not like an exorbitant drive. That's like a full day drive, but.
It's a half tank of gas.
Yeah. But anyways, okay, so that's enough of me space fanboying. I kind of wish I was thinking about talking to Max Singularity to get him on for this, because I know he would go into like full super like nerdgasm on this too, but
We need a
He would tell you
2-hour
the
show
same-
just for him to talk about.
He would tell you the same thing I would say, Drayden, is wear those fucking solar eclipse glasses so you don't
Oh,
go
he would.
blind.
Go down to the
No, I already
gas
told you the
stop,
sun's not
get
dangerous.
yourself 2 pair of $5 sunglasses. Put them both on.
No!
Stare at that
Oh
sucker all
my
fucking
God.
day.
And what somebody said in chat earlier was just put a piece of paper and do it in the opposite direction and put it against
Yeah,
another
yeah,
piece
actually-
of paper
You
and
can
poke a
do
hole.
that.
Yeah,
I
it-
did that in the 70s when the first
Yep.
one happened. 'Cause I
Oh,
lived
no,
in
no, no.
northern
That's
Michigan. So
that's
yeah.
not the idea I had. The idea I had is like just take a piece of paper and poke a bunch of holes in it, and then just look through the paper directly at the sun.
Oh my
Because
fucking.
then it's like it's not
Yeah,
the full brunt of the sunlight.
Drayden,
It's
this
only
is why you almost
the
die
paper
every
will
evening.
filter
it's
out all
almost
the harmful
it's only partial,
radiation.
right? So it's like it's half the sunlight, so it's only half the damage.
You're good.
Yeah.
DS113. You spherical Earth people are funny.
The Earth is flat.
The Earth is flat. That's definitely right.
Just stare at it with one eye, and then the other eye will be fine, right?
Oh my God! Like you guys are triggering me so much.
Oh, it's good. Trigger shots. We're doing shots. Where's that emote?
Emote.
Oh, I have an emote too,
Shots.
Drayden.
Throw it up. The emote, not the vodka.
Is it Negative Nancy and her safety rules?
It is. This is me when you guys talk about staring at the sun. My angry face.
Your triggered
Ah.
face.
Fucking Urziel. I'm surprised I have all my body parts. That actually is a surprise to me as well. I actually
He
almost
doesn't.
no.
He's just
I
a floating head to us.
no.
Sometimes
I
it's the
actually
arms.
like not even lying. I actually almost lost my eyeball.
Was it looking at the sun?
No, it
Were you
was
playing with a Red Ryder air rifle?
no.
Wait.
It was not. It was none of those things. It was my brother, older brother, had when I was a kid had set up this barricade to trap my parents' cat in there, and there was nothing but this tiny little hole in the bottom into darkness to look through. He's like, "Hey, Aaron, come look through here," and I was like, "What?" And I like looked, and I just saw two glowing eyes, and then bat, cat paw. And the cat scratched all 5 claws in my actual eyeball and like tore the surface of my eyeball apart.
Oh my God.
I had to go to the ER, and they'd like put this like it ripped a chunk of my cornea off, like about like a 1/4 inch by a 1/4 inch, like a square 1/4 inch like of my cornea was like just hanging off my eyeball, and they'd like tear it off and like pour in this like fake eyeball goo to like fix it. And I don't know, like they basically told me like had I come into the hospital about 30 minutes to an hour later, I probably would have been permanently blind in my left eye.
Oh my God. Well, at least you could use that eye to look at the sun.
Well, yeah. Well, no, because I couldn't see anything. I would use my good eye. You just have to put your head up there. What does that mean? What is that mean? That's what I mean. Yep. Shots. Shots time.
I already took a drink. I am.
Already.
Okay. Anyway. Now the moment everyone's been waiting for. Moon mining update.
Oh shit.
All right.
Money.
All right. So, let me find the link to this. I had it somewhere.
And there's a massive about it. It's a lot of things, and yeah, there you go. And I don't really. I mean, I don't do moon mining before the changes. I'm not gonna do it after the changes. So I'm kind of curious as to what your guys' take on it is.
All right, so so I linked it in chat. This is the moon mining, the revamped. Now we've heard about the refineries coming out and how they're going to be. You know, you can set cycles to mine a big chunk off of the moon. And actually, Blasphemy gave me a nice picture of the moon chunk coming off. Let me put that up. If I can find it. Where did I'll get that up in a second when I can find it. But so what this is this is describing exactly how the minerals are going to be distributed, or the moon materials are going to be distributed in the belts that are created by ripping off these chunks of the moon that you can set it to either 1 week or several weeks, depending on how long you set it. Obviously, the longer you set it, the more you get. I'm wondering if there's like kind of like a, what do you call it? Depreciative returns on time. Like
A
the
decay rate.
the longer you set it, the more you'll get, but it won't be as like it'll be a little bit less than the previous times multiplied to whatever it gets to. but you don't have to manage it as often. Now, what this was basically saying is that they're going to, when the chunk of the moon fractures, and I really want to get this image up, so give me 1 sec.
Yeah, while he's trying to get the picture, I think what the overall hierarchy, or what they wanted to say is they don't want moon mining to be a passive activity. They want this to be an active, engaging, emergent gameplay.
Yeah, it's another step in the war on AFK game.
I thought that
Is
was
that
pretty
really what's
clear.
gonna happen though in practice? In
Well,
practice,
how-
it's probably gonna be the same small crew doing it, right?
I mean, how's that gonna work though? Because there's not gonna be AFK. Whereas, I think now you
This has to be
set
actively
up a
mined.
pos. Let's say now you have a pos. It farms the moon goo or whatever. You take that, you fly to high sec, you fly back with fuel.
Well,
like that's
well,
how it works.
So basically, the old moon system, just a quick recap, is basically that you set up. You can either have extractors that pull the moon materials off the moon, and you can use those. It puts it into a silo. You run the silo into a processor, which then processes various raw moon materials into, higher materials, and then you have those higher materials go into higher materials, and eventually you get into, the essential Tech 2 base components that you use to build Tech 2. Well, you get the moon materials that you use to build Tech 2 components. So, but what this is going to do is, instead of having it just passive like that and you just showing up every, so like once a week to, kind of like PI, although PI might have to do, more than once a week. But anyway, PI, you show up, you like fill this silo, empty this, pull this out, and then it's set and you like leave. Now that what this is going to do is like you have this moon chunk flying out over however many weeks, explodes into a belt, and then you have to mine the belt. But what they've released in this update is the belts are going to be made up of various types of ore, and they're going to make 20 different new ore types in the game that are going to reflect the various different moon materials. So like they haven't come out with any of the names, and I'd have to scroll down in the article, but they have names like moon or type A1, or like they have some trolley names in there too, but they're just like placeholders right now.
Yeah,
and so it's like
placeholderite was my favorite one.
Yeah, placeholder. Yeah, that's one, placeholderite ore, and so that might have like dysprosium in it as the main thing, and so like that was the better material. But it's like the moon chunks are also going to have regular mine ore as well. So like so you can survey a moon, and we'll get into the survey stuff in a bit because that's changing as well. But when you survey a moon, you can find that okay, this moon has it'll be percentages like 40% placeholderite ore, 20% spodumane, 10% of this ore that might have a bunch of cobalt in it, and then 50%, it's going to add up to 100%. But it's like, so you will know, you can look at the moons, and they're going to be much more diversified because they're not going to be like this moon has dysprosium and shit in it basically, and so you get the moon for the dysprosium. Or this moon has platinum and cobalt, which is okay. That's not bad. You'll take that. It's like you can go to the moons. It's like this has some high-end stuff, but not much of it, and then a bunch of shit, like just regular mining ores. Or this one has like a decent amount actually, because the percentage is what's really going to make this variable. Is that it's actually going to have like a decent amount of platinum, and then a decent amount of vanadium. Like those are good. And in the amounts that they're in this moon, it makes it almost more valuable than a dysprosium moon that only has 10% dysprosium. And so it's going to make the moons dynamic in that way. And it's also going to make cherry picking a thing. So much more Nixes are going to get self-destructed on stations and stuff because of this. And just because, but anyway, so like now people can choose to cherry pick what they want and leave the rest because it will eventually, dissipate over time. I don't know. They haven't mentioned in this article how long the asteroid belts last. But basically, you're going to go in there and mine them. And there, I'll get to it in a second, but there's a question that I heard from someone in my corp that was like, are they going to have different mining modules for moon goo ore as opposed to regular mining ore? Which I don't think so if they're going to mix the regular mining ore with the moon goo ore. So I think it's going to be the same, like, strip miners. But so you're going to take the stuff and you're going to bring it to a refinery and essentially melt down the ore into the moon goo.
Yeah. But at the same time, I guess it's different if you're coming from a large alliance, right? Where you can almost guarantee safety in harvesting the moon ores.
Right. The
I mean,
big
any other place, you're looking at probably having to think about, is it really even worth it to even attempt to set up the refineries, because we're gonna get harassed too much to even mine this stuff.
Right, and so now, and there's a lot of people in chat who are saying, like, is this how CCP kills Eve and stuff like that? Now, here's the thing. It's now, this is actually why I wrote it on, because I have a lot of questions coming to this, but I'll get to those in just a second. It's going
Tyrion.
to... Who's Tyrion?
The dude who asked that.
Yeah,
Well-
oh, yeah, I thought you meant like Tyrion Lannister. I was like, I know who he is, but... anyway, so... mining this stuff, it's going to require a lot more work to get the moon materials than it used to. Now, we don't know how much these refining things are going to give, like how much moon green you get per ore that you have, and how much ore is going to be in the rocks. Like, that's questions that we don't know, that is going to affect the market, that we can't understand until we get better, details on that. But okay, sorry to go off a tangent, but like one real big thing. This is actually a really big thing. They are completely revamping all the moons. They are completely redistributing all the moons, like they did in a while ago. So everyone's gonna have to resurvey every single moon in the entire cluster again to find out what moons have what. And it is not going to be based on region, like, oh, this region has all this material except for a little bit. It's going to be on a random seed generator. So all of the moons are going to be redistributed with values on a random seed generator, and so everything's going to be spread out everywhere. Air quotes. Now,
I
that
have a
being
hard
said,
time believing they'll actually be evenly distributed.
well, I don't think it'll be evenly distributed, but you're going to find clusters. But it's not going to be like the north has all, I don't know what areas had what, but it's like, you can't be like, don't take me for accuracy, but like, the north has all the dysprosium. This place has all the vanadium. This place has all of it. Like, it's going to be pockmarked, I think. But on top of
So
that...
I was gonna say, as somebody who doesn't really understand moons or do anything with moons, can you at least summarize that for like a TLDR?
Yep. So they're super important because you basically can't make Tech 2 without them. They are a requirement of those production lines. So if you end up belonging to an alliance or coalition, or groups of people that can basically lock down the materials that are coming in and out of those regions, be able to safely collect them, process them, either do something with them on site or sell them back to Jita, then you're going to be sitting pretty. If you are not able to do that, and you also live in nullsec, you're going to have to kind of ask yourself, is it worth staying there? Because how are you going to be able to support yourself when the previous paradigm source of SRPs, among other financial things, is now out of reach for you? So it's a huge deal.
Okay.
But as far as that kind of stuff, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be an absolute shit show. But if you're looking into the markets like the way traders do, I mean, you're already seeing large buyouts of P4s and even RAWs that are that happened immediately after the Tech 3 seed balancing, and once they became available. So if you're a speculator type, you may have some time still, but I don't know. I'd be careful.
Well, okay. Now, real quick, I might have to correct myself. Symbiotes was asking, like, because they said in the article it was gonna be on a random seed generator, but they like, yeah, that devlog does not confirm equal spread everywhere. That's actually true. And I could actually be wrong on the fact that they might have their algorithm. They said it was going to be on an algorithm, like a random seed algorithm. And the algorithm might account to place certain resources more primarily in certain areas. So I could be wrong on that. That does not, like, he's right. That doesn't necessarily mean equal spread everywhere. So that was me I guess, speculating. So take that with a grain of salt. But now here's the thing is this is going to cause a massive influx of everyone going in like a giant scanning, like moon survey scanning frenzy, like they did back the last time they redistributed all the moon goos. But when this comes into effect, it's going to require a lot more effort because you have to go physically mine all the moon materials. And depending on how much you get from the stuff that you mine, there's going to be a lot more people involved and a lot more work involved than it used to harvest moons because it's not passive anymore. And so that is going to almost guaranteed drive the price of raw moon goo up, right?
I wouldn't even actually focus on the price because when you're saying price, you're running on the assumption that all those products will actually make it back to HiSec in order to be sold through the main distribution point of JITA. But with the way Citadels are right now, it's very realistic to actually have an expectation of full-on production locally within your nullsec pocket.
Oh, well, so that might make the local, if you live in nullsec, the local values go down, but the HiSec values go way the hell up because there's no influx of trade.
Yeah, there's no availability.
Wow. Okay.
Too much of a pain in the ass to move it, or whatever the case may be. Like, oh, it's unpredictable, or our buyback guys are on holiday, or whatever the heck it is. Right?
That would be like one of the few times I've ever seen this game where nullsec prices are cheaper than HiSec. That just doesn't fucking happen.
The market prices in established nullsec regions are actually very competitive to JITA, especially since you
in the
actually
high
have
areas
active users
because they
present in
have
there.
to be, but at the same time, they're usually still a slight JITA markup. Like I mean, like people don't buy stuff from JITA, import it, and then sell it for less than what they paid for it, and then have to pay for the fuel costs too. Like there's still.
But
a
the
markup.
markup is in the single-digit percentage. It's not
Right,
like
right.
a
Yeah. It's
20%
usually really
markup.
small because
They're
they do it in
fucking
such
loud,
volume
right?
that like the small amount of profit volume like makes them money in the long run. But now here's the thing that I wanted to get into the speculation in the future with you because this is stuff that I speculate, but I don't know shit in economics, so it's stuff that is probably like completely ass backwards. But so it's gonna make the materials harder. Okay, so like you said, they're sourced locally more often. That is gonna have a change on T2 components system wide. Like the whole galaxy is gonna be like massive change on if the base materials change in price like that, then the people that are just doing like the reactions, like that's something that I was actually looking to get into, is just because I don't like doing the moon mining, but I like buying low ends and reacting them at high ends and selling them. But buying the low ends might be more expensive possibly, and which would make the high ends more expensive because people are going to raise their prices, which is going to make the cost of producing Tech 2 ships more expensive, which is going to make all Tech 2 ships essentially, or Tech 2 modules more like. Is this going to have reverberal waves all throughout the market that's going to cause chaos? Like maybe not chaos, but like cause massive changes all throughout the whole economy?
Yeah, I mean, you're actually already seeing it a little bit. Right now, if you're to look at the market, a lot of the kind of mid-tier faction modules are actually competitively priced already compared to Tech 2 items. I do a lot of buyback stuff, and there's such reduced activity right now in the game that I'm looking through these. I'm reselling a lot of these items with buy orders of not even a page. It's ridiculous. It's like no one's playing. Yeah. So, I mean, if we get to the point where Tech 2 becomes too expensive because of the logistics involved, it's expensive in terms of JITA, right? Because that's like the benchmark. But if you're in nullsec, you're probably actually gonna be, for the most part, unaffected as far as end user.
So
I think so.
So would that open up a whole new trade system of people producing Tech 2 and nullsec for cheaper and then shipping it out to HiSec and selling it at better rates that people in HiSec can't compete with because the prices they get are too high?
You technically can build it cheaper in nullsec because you can build Satillas there that are properly rigged in much greater volumes than you can versus the Sutiyos that are and Asbels that are in, say, New Kaldari or in Perimeter or Ashab, right?
Right. Now this is the other thing that like this might require some people with, like, you know, I don't really know how mining groups in nullsec operate. Like, I know they're all around me, but I don't engage in nullsec mining, so I don't really know. But the people that are running these moon stations, like, they obviously, like, I've heard that the refiners are gonna be able to track how much each person mines. You can tell if someone is mining your shit and running off with it because they didn't deposit it. So I'm assuming, like, the big organizations like, you know, Goons and all that, and PL and all the groups out there that might, like, do, like, this nullsec mining, they're gonna, you know, anyone that tries to fuck them over is gonna get found out really quick, because there's all kinds of, you know, third-party web apps that can find out discrepancies in
Yes.
you know, like, what was mined to what was brought in. And I don't know if they're gonna do, like, you know, organize, like, okay, you guys are gonna mine for the Empire and, like, give your stuff to the Empire and then you'll get paid back for it. I don't know how that stuff's gonna work, but these miners aren't gonna mine the moon goo for free. And if the person that owns the refinery at the moon, he's not gonna get all that stuff all to himself. Like, people are gonna come and want to mine it. People are gonna want to, like, get a piece of it, unless he's got, like, you know, a bunch of Rorqual fleets that want to, like, crash the belt really quick. He might have to need other people to mine it for him. Who knows how this stuff's gonna work? Like, this is the details that haven't come out yet, but the miners need pay one way or another, and so that's going to up the value of the base resources. So I'm wondering, like, how much is the base resources gonna really increase or decrease? I don't think they'll decrease.
I mean, pricing. I mean, right now, as far as just on availability alone, there's going to be a lot of hoarding that's going to be happening all the way up to the change. As far as, I mean, I can imagine that there's probably a glut of surplus items that is just sitting in people's hangars and all of these things. I can't imagine that that's not the case.
Oh yeah. Well, that's if these prices do go up, if this change will make the prices go up, I guarantee you there's a bunch of people stockpiling the shit out of these. Because I was actually in the game. Now, this is a, you know, trip down memory lane, back when alloys were in the drone regions with all the minerals, and they came out saying that the alloys are going to go away soon, and like we had like a month's notice. Everyone out there, like, it was most of the Russians, but, like, you know, I was part of one of the pet alliances that were in the buffer zone against the Dot Bros for Solar Fleet, and everyone started stockpiling the shit out of the alloys because they knew that the second those alloys went away, because of the amount of minerals that came out of those as opposed to ore, was going to skyrocket. And so they stockpiled the crap out of those, and then they slowly piecemealed through them out to keep the price up, so they got max value out of them.
Yep. I mean, you're seeing that right now, as of at least through this week. Every single raw moon material has increased in value at least 5%. However, it's basically supply driven, because you don't have volumes actually to go in parity with that increase in price. So, I mean, you see this pattern every now and again, but definitely it's definitely more of a purpose this time around. How long will it last? Shit, I don't know, man. But if the low player count right now is anything to go by, you're gonna have supply-driven, like genuine supply-driven price increase, maybe all the way up until production of the refineries, for all we know. I mean, we don't. I'm not sure when we actually start picking back up our population, but we're gonna need some worker bees like really, really soon here. And if it becomes like a genuine manning, manning deficit, that's a first world problem, man.
Right. Now here's the other question: if people are starting to stockpile these this moon goo, that means that there's less stuff getting produced into Tech 2 right now. Is that going to cause a bottleneck in the current time?
No, Tech 2 is like super cheap right now. Tech 2 is super cheap right now. Mid-grade faction super cheap right now, because CCP doesn't really want to manipulate loot drops like that. They do it very selectively. They've done it for the small ancillary reppers, which it's finally kicking in. Small ancillary reppers are sitting at what 2.1 to 2.8 right now, a big drop in price. So everything's just really cheap right now. People aren't really going to be feeling it. It's going to be a surprise when the script gets flipped. It's going to be a big surprise, and people are going to make a killing.
Yeah, because I remember, like, and not to throw it back to the alloys again, but like I remember when the alloys went away, that was a big change in the mineral market because tritanium went from, like, you know, when I was playing it was like 4.5 ISK per trit, and it shot up to like 7 almost, it felt like. And all the other minerals, like low ends, went up too. And it's like that's when everyone started saying, like, oh, remember back in the day you used to be able to get Drake for 35 million, and then now they're like 50 million. And it's like, yeah, I actually do remember, like, I bought my first Drake when it was like, I think it was about 28 to 32 million that I bought my first Drake for, and then it shot up. And I don't know if that was directly because of the alloys, but if
Probably.
I mean, it could have been. Like, that was a big change in the game because a lot of the low ends, not the majority, I won't say the majority, but enough of the low ends came from drone space that it caused a dip in that market. And when that low end amount, like, you know, shuttered out, the prices went up.
Yeah.
And so if that happens to the moon materials, is that going to cause, like, what effect is that going to have on T2? Like you said, it's like T2 is going to be cheaper in nullsec, probably more expensive in high sec, but is there going to be a balance, or is there going to be, like, what's going to happen with that?
I'll be honest, like, a lot of the folks, at least in my circle, like, we're not even looking into Tech 2. We're not even looking at Tech 2 because unless you can actually control harvest, distribution, production, you're not even in that same game. You're not. A lot of the folks that I kind of play with, we're looking, actually, I'm looking into faction, not actually Tech 2. I can't control Tech 2. It's gonna be absolute shit show when that happens. So, well, what I can kind of rely on is the faction items being probably more attractive because the pricing will be a little bit more stable, probably. And right now they're super cheap to get into. Yeah, super cheap to get into. And
that's so funny, but like, it's like faction's a better option than Tech 2 because it's cheaper.
It is. So, and the reason it's so cheap right now is because it's super stable. If you look at faction warfare, it's probably as a single point of activity to be a source of faction items or some mid-grade faction items. It hasn't seen. So this week, Amar finally recaptured a single system.
Yay!
They haven't flipped a system in literally almost 2+ months. So faction warfare is super stale right now. With it being super stale, I mean the faction items from LP stores come in a very stable manner. Very, very predictable. No, it's easy, man. It's so easy to predict now. So a lot of people have been stocking up like based on those faction items. And some of them you're getting like ridiculously cheap because you don't want to bother making a fuss out of conquering systems in lowsec when there's citadels in play. There's no need to.
Yeah, and actually in chat, Ted Root is bringing up a good point. Now, this is something I don't actually know a lot about because I've never done it. He was saying it depends on reactions. It depends on how CCP adjusts alchemy. You can see severe increases in certain mins, but not the T2 product if alchemy is kept sufficiently strong. Now, alchemy is something I've never done. I know it existed, and it wasn't that.
I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, alchemy you can basically change moon materials into other moon materials. I didn't know how it works. I still don't because I never did it.
I did, and that's why I got so interested in the chat with Tay-Root. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, enlighten us, and actually, I want, like, if Tay-Root's interested on coming on, because if he knows about alchemy, I want to hear it. So I'm gonna see if he wants to come on here.
I've done it a few months ago, but I mean, from what I understand, it's just gonna be easier to do this time around because you're actually using the current UI, industry UI. So that's good because currently there is no negative feedback response for the alchemy. Like, you're not gonna know if you fuck up until you run the cycle, which is dumb. That's really, really dumb.
yeah, nothing comes out. You're like, what happened? Oh
Yeah,
my
exactly.
god.
Like, oh, I gotta run it. Oh shit, nothing's coming out. Something's
Or I didn't have my
missing.
blueprint in, or whatever. It was god awful sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't
See,
done it
it's
honestly. I haven't done it in like 3 or 4 years. But yeah, it was difficult back then and such a time sink.
yeah. I'll be honest. Yeah, I'm not even looking at Tech 2 stuff. I'm looking at faction. I'll be honest because you can't really cartel faction as easily as you can Tech 2. You know what I mean? Like regular Joes can get faction stuff in volume. You can't really say the same consistently for Tech 2.
And we'll see if she wants to come on, or he or she. Yeah. So I mean, like, man, because this is the thing. Like, I mean, I've been asking before, and this is a thing that I've asked plenty of times in the past. When Dirk was on, especially also when we had Lockfox on, who was another economist as well, and I was asking the point of like when they first announced these moon changes. And this is before they obviously announced these most recent ones, and because it's like I saw that you were gonna have to like mine the moon materials, and that was gonna cause what I saw is more work, more effort, into
More accounts.
gathering. So it's going to up the low ends probably is what it was in my mind. But here's the thing. With the refinery introduction, that's going to, in my opinion, lower the cost of... Okay, so Tayrut says they'll come on. Tayrut, give me 1 second. Let me just finish the point, and then I'll give you the info, and you come on TeamSpeak. But so the thing that I thought was going to lower the cost of, was it like reacting the materials together, like if you're just doing like moon reactions and not necessarily mining, is you can have all of your reactions focused in one central location, and it could even be someone else's. Like, yeah, the refineries have to have a fuel cost, you have to fuel them, but they're open to a lot of people. So if someone else is fueling it, yeah, they might put a tax on the reactions that you put in the system, because it's going to be just like the industry production is now. It's gonna be like the same, almost the same UI, similar. And so, but the thing is, like, instead of like having to do a simple like one reaction per tower, so you have to have, and you can have one tower per moon, so you have to find a system with a bunch of empty moons to do these reactions. Because that's what I used to do, is like I'd find a system that's like, okay, there's 8 moons here that nobody wants because they're all like sulfuric acids and atmospheric deposits. No one wants them. Cool, perfect. I'm gonna throw towers up on them. I'm going to import the low ends, react them to mid grades, and sell those, and you get a profit. But the thing is, like, you still have to import, like, half of my trips were just importing fuel for the towers. Like, I would do like 6 trips in a jump freighter. 3 of those trips were just transporting tower fuel. If you are being able to like go to these refineries that are owned by someone else that someone else is fueling, or if you yourself are fueling, you would just fuel the one structure, then you don't have to have the fuel anymore. You import and it's all in one location. And especially like if you have all these different moons and all the places, it's all in one spot. So it's like you bring all your materials to one spot. You react everything in one area, and then you just export everything from there. And you don't have to worry about fuel. So it's like that's going to make reactions cheaper. But if the low ends are more expensive, what is the offset? Is like the increase in price of the low ends possibly going to offset the cheaper production of T2 materials?
It's probably gonna go back to the how the moon items and the ores are gonna be distributed as a matter of composition for the moons. Because right now it sounds like, you know what I mean, like, because every like a moon's gonna have a little bit of something, right? It's never gonna be like a single source of one material, like a pure tech moon or whatever, right? It's always going to be a mix of some sort. I'm not sure if that'll probably play a role into it. And honestly, in that refining piece, that runs on the assumption that you can actually safely harvest.
Yeah.
Depending on who you are, that might not be the case.
Yeah, I've never been interested in like harvesting moon. I actually did that for my corp for a while, because I had the jump freighter. Like, it was basically like me and Dirk had the jump freighters, and Dirk was tired of doing it. I was like, well, I'll run the moons if I can get a payout. And I did that for a while, but it's just like fuck, dude, like, we were up in the north, and we had moons stretched from Declan down to Tribute, down to the Vale, down to, like, fucking everywhere. And it took forever. It took, I mean, like, every week I was doing, like, 70 plus jumps in my jump freighter. I'm like,
Fuck that.
I fucking hate my life right now. Like, I'm getting
man.
okay. I'm getting decent ISK for it. I mean, I was making quite a bit of ISK, but it's like, it just wasn't worth it. And then when I started my own little reaction farm of, like, just, I found a system with moons that nobody wanted. I'm like, can I just have these moons? And they're like, they have atmospheric deposits. I'm like, yeah, perfect. Can I have them? They're like, yeah, just have them. And I just set up, like 6 to 8 moons of, like, just reacting into, like, shit that, went into T2, and I went and sold it. It's like, I was making a lot less. I was making, like, 1 or 2 billion a month, which is a lot for me. Not a lot for some. I don't know. I was making, like, twice that much doing the corp stuff, but it's like, man, it was so much less work. It was like 3 jump freighter runs a week, and it was all to the same system, and that's it. It was easy peasy.
One thing to consider too is I'm not sure if there's been any details of. In wormholes, we do reactions too. We make polymers. So if there isn't going to be that much of a gear change between reacting polymers and reacting traditional moon materials, you could actually see people like myself, more than likely, actually do traditional moon reaction on top of polymer reactions in wormholes, where it's going to be a pain in the ass to kind of take my stuff from me.
Yeah. Now, okay, so I got Tarut in here. Tarut, it was talking about the alchemy stuff earlier. Now, so you were talking about the alchemy as related to the price change, like, so.
So I
Let's hear
mean,
about that.
I didn't really touch alchemy super hard. I ran Low Sec Alliance's moon mining operations for like 6 or 7 months, and that was just mining the raw materials and doing like basic reactions. But basically, alchemy is turning 2 separate products that you have into an unrelated product. So, for example, if you have, let's pull up the reaction chart I have. So the easiest one is like Caesarium cadmide is one reaction. You react in a simple reactor cadmium, was it Caesarium? Yeah, cadmium and cesium, and then Caesarium cadmide. Well, if you don't have which one is it? One sec. If you don't have cesium, you can react cadmium with scandium and do the same and do an alchemy reaction, and you get Caesarium cadmide. You get less of the end product, but you can still get that product.
Oh, so you're actually only switching out one input for another
Right.
single input for the same output.
Or if you have 2 of those moons, but you're missing one of those other moons, you can still get that same end product and keep your final like chain going. So it really depends on how CCP is going to balance like the moons across the board. And they were talking about how they're like there's not going to be any super OP moons anymore. There won't be one single moon that has only Dispro on it that's going to be worth a lot. They're trying to like break it down across the board. So it really depends on how CCP does those breakdowns, and then how, like, if alchemy gets nerfed or not, really.
Yeah, okay, so that's actually different. We're going to throw a shot up. It's been a while since we've done some shots, so we're doing some shots real quick. Shots. We'll wait for Rain. She's not pre-poured.
Stop doing it, because I was usually good at paying attention.
All right, shots. All right, so yeah, because I always thought alchemy was you took 2 materials and turned them into like one base material. So that's absolutely wrong. Then
You're essentially you're just you're making up for the lack of basically one material, or importing 2 separate materials to create some other material if you don't want to like there's a lot of different ways you can do about it.
Yeah, because I thought it was like you took like cobalt and cesium to make tritanium or not tritanium, but what's the other T one? Technetium or something. I mean, I thought you like took. I mean, those are probably like off on the tier list, but like I thought you like just took 2 different materials and just made a single one material out of them. So that's completely different than what I thought alchemy was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
just
gonna
reactions.
Slight waste.
be and it's gonna be way easier, I think, when they do refineries, because you're going to be able to run these as industry jobs. I think it's going to be because right now it's super terrible to set up huge. It's going to be easier. So if CCP keeps alchemy the same, I could see T2 prices staying relatively the same, and not adjusting too hard.
No, it shouldn't really. In the long run, it shouldn't.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if they keep the alchemy system the same, which I would assume they would, they'd have to change it with the UI as well, because they're going to be changing how you combine moon materials, because they're not going to be done in a tower anymore. They're going to be done with the industry
the
user
process
interface.
so much isn't changing. They're just moving it from you doing it through silos and reactions to doing it as like a blue.
Yeah.
So it's not super huge change. It's just less clicking, which is always good.
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
one thing
Sorry, go
too
ahead.
is since it's gonna be citadels. I mean, it's such a pain in the ass to kill citadels. So whoever puts up a refinery, that sucker may stay up there for a while.
Yeah.
Well, but the thing is, like, is the refinery going to have the same defense as a Citadel? But at the same time, is it
If
going to
it's
be as
falling
much of
under
a
the same
target as a
structure,
Citadel?
It's,
Well, then
it's
there's
gonna
the-
take more than a week to kill any kind of citadel.
Oh, so the refinery's going to have the same, like, reinforcement timer as the Citadels do?
I don't
I
think
would
they've
think
announced
so.
that yet.
Yeah.
Though-
Well, I mean, I
Everyone's
guess the
guessing.
towers have the same thing, too, though.
Well, I
Well,
mean,
towers
towers
are a
are
little more easy.
Yeah, they have just the shield timer, and that's it, right?
Well, you have the first reinforcement timer, which is in soft space up to like 2 days and 7 hours, and that's it. But
Yeah, but like the towers,
they-
like right now,
so-
Passes only have like one reinforced timer as opposed to
Yeah,
stations
yeah.
that have like shield and armor reinforced.
yeah, they're gonna have to do a lot of work, I think, for alchemy too, because it depends on. They really have to take a look at how they adjust the distributions across moons and how like low sec factors in versus null sec, because low sec's gonna become a free for all. And I really want to see if CCP will give us some statistics tomorrow when they come on the
Talking
The show tomorrow.
stations.
Yeah,
talking,
Yeah,
talking
I mean-
stations.
Should we do a plug for talking
Yeah.
stations
Yeah,
now?
let's plug it.
Since they already put it out in chat, triggered. Now
Well,
go ahead.
Matterall's in.
And
Why isn't Matterall
Matterall.
in chat with us? Matterall, get in here. I don't know.
That'll be interesting. I mean, I doubt Losec actually will even have the same level of moon mining activity that it does now once refineries kick in.
well.
I have a hard
it
time
de-
believing that it will, at least.
I don't think it'll have the same amount, but it's definitely going to be different because there's a lot of low-sec regions that are super dead that have valuable moons in them right now. Like
Yep.
Rocket X and his group, the Wrecking Crew guys, they own a bunch of R64s in Molten Heath and place that no one touches those, and that's just completely passive income that no one even bothers with. So there's a chance that they might not be able to do anything with those, and some other low-sec group might get them that's living in the area and mine the shit out of it. So
Yeah.
I think there's a
Well,
lot
I
of
mean, is
play.
Coffee Rocks that scary of an entity out there? I mean, Rocket X.
No,
Are you
I'm
serious,
just saying, like,
Drayden?
Yes.
I can see.
You
I,
did that.
I
But
heard
But I
my
mean,
name
yeah,
called
like
by
nobody
Wow.
drops their towers because obviously they can defend it, but I mean, Rocket
I
X
had-
and Wrecking Crew aren't really renowned miners, so they're not
I
actively sitting out there mining. It just takes one guy with a jump for you to go through,
right.
collect all the.
It's just
collect all the
happened too
stuff.
many times. Every time I hear Rocket X, I have to like.
Oh my
bring up
God,
Coffee
Drayden.
Rocks.
Well,
like,
it was
I mean,
just an example. I mean, there's a bunch of other low-sec groups that have the same type of setup, like Shadow Cartel and Project
Mhm.
Mayhem will have the same types of setups. So
Well, isn't it like that? I mean, I'm not a moon person expert, but isn't it the same in Null? Like, it's just
it
you
is
just
the
have
same in Null.
you just
yeah.
have like
Mechanics the same.
a couple people go out,
Yeah, but-
collect all the stuff, like
the
bring it
difference
to
is
Vegeta.
the difference is once they make the changes in low sec, you won't be able to defend the people mining.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
the one thing is like like
So yeah, like large
Who knows
alliances
what'll
like
happen with
Goons and Delve obviously should have hopefully plenty of miners unless they just self-destruct
well,
all the
it's not
oracles
just
or
the
something.
it's not just the miners. The thing is like when goons and not just goons, like all the big powers in nullsec that are solidly in control of their space, they can securely mine their moons because when that moon thing happens, like they're gonna mine it, and any neutral fleet or enemy fleet that comes in, they're gonna be like forming up to fight that. Low sec is fucking anarchy. Like
It's the same with the towers, right? Like if you can't
I'm
defend the
catching up
towers,
here.
then
You
what's
guys talking
stopping
about
other people?
low sec and minerals?
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Trying to, but
All
yeah,
right.
we wanted to get you into who you're going to have on in talking stations.
Yeah,
that we're not
Madrigal.
talking about.
I got summoned.
Oh,
Yeah. Hey,
yeah,
listen,
yeah,
I
I did
have no
s-
problem
oh.
plugging this show because we're sister shows.
Madrigal, we're fucking
totally
open comms. This is not talking
sister
station.
shows.
Yeah,
Like the
sister,
same
yeah,
audience
we are
watches
sister
both.
shows.
This is the drunk night before the hangover in the morning.
Yeah, this is our
Seriously.
This is our sister Matterall. Nice to meet you. Like, no,
Now we
yeah,
just need Wolf Clan.
I would say it's pretty true. Like, we are the party time show of information, and then we all get drunk, we wake up, we shake it off, and then
Your
you have
head
talking in
hurts.
stations. It's like, okay, let's actually break down the intelligence that should have happened on the night before.
Well,
This is
Alright.
Fox News.
yeah, and that's why you guys kill us in tips. You guys do like 10
Well,
times
you know,
as many.
nothing loosens the wallet more than
Whatever,
some
Madrigal.
Cheetos.
People don't want information; they want entertainment.
That's
That's what
right.
you gotta learn.
That's right. Got to show some ankle.
Wait, ankle. I'll show
You
ankle all
whore.
day.
But no, so I mean, yeah, you can drop on low sec miners, and it's probably gonna be ever so slightly easier than dropping on
Ever so
delve
slightly,
miners.
it'll be a lot easier. There's no protection.
Well, I mean, it
There's
is
no
easier,
intel
but
channel.
well,
Oh,
no,
maybe
there
there's
is
intel
a
channel.
ton of I mean, there is a ton of intel and protection.
If you
with
have-
low sec
it-
groups,
it's
I mean,
not
if
so
you want to
much-
use if you want to use like Rocket X or Shakrata or some of these other groups, like they're not just like dumb retards sitting out in low sec, just like herder, let's have moons because nobody else wants them. Like they obviously have their defenses, they just don't have a large PVE backing that say
That's-
someone
yeah.
like Goons or like Pravi or some of these other groups have.
They don't have 30 Warquels, in 2 systems. They've got maybe 2 dudes who have a couple of nullsec ults with a handful of Warquels, and that's not going to be like Shadow Cartel has probably well north of 100 towers that they're running right now, from shitty low ends all the way up to Dispro, and they're going to have to make, once the pass comes out and they rebalance everything, they're going to have to make some serious calls. But I mean, Shadow Cartel has other income. They have Pocos and stuff, which is a whole other story. But I mean, it's going to be telling to see how low sec turns. I really want to know and see if CCP will reveal any sort of statistics on how much of the mineral income, like moon mineral income, comes from low sec versus null sec.
Well, that
Yeah, it's a good
probably
stat to look at.
won't be answered for a while, because as soon as that happens, a lot of people scramble to start making adjustments before the thing hits. One of the things that was discussed was is Fozzie and Nagwal, who's the other senior designer on Team 5.0, are they both going towards don't give any information out, let it all hit at once, let people scramble, and let the gold rush begin, let the conflicts begin, let all that gameplay happen instead of telegraphing any punches? And we don't know that yet. I imagine they may, just to make it exciting, because people are complaining things are boring. Well, that would be a huge tidal wave of activity and a scramble, basically, to get good position on the future markets.
I think it's gonna be probably a little bit of bad, regardless of how they go about it.
Yeah, it's going to turn into a shit show, honestly.
Yeah, it's gonna be an awesome shit show, to be honest. Like,
Well, I
with
mean, what's a shit show though? Is that chaos? In
Well-
Eve? Isn't that what we want?
Well,
No.
it's chaos in terms of the fact that I feel like the whole T2 market is just going to go up on speculation. Not even if anything really changes, but just rampant speculation is just going to. I feel like I don't know.
Well, it's happening now with T3 and minerals. Moon Goo as it is right now. It's the speculation's already happening.
Yeah, this is the second round of speculation. The first one's happened like 2 months
This is
ago.
the fourth round
Oh, yeah,
of
yeah.
speculation.
Anytime anything changes, speculations happen for sure.
Well, the thing is it going to go higher? That's the
Well,
question. Like right now, this is pre-chaos, and so you have prices right now at about. And Roden, you can totally correct me if I'm wrong, but literally 100% higher than normal or more.
At
for a
least
lot of-
past the 180-day mark, yeah.
Yeah, and that's astounding for that to happen this quickly. And you could say it's all speculation. That may be true, but if the chaos is going to be as big as we think it might be, then this is just the beginning of the price hikes.
Well, how crazy is CCP willing to let it go? I think is the real question. If they're willing to let it go like super nuts, then let's. I'm ready for it. Like if they want to go nuts with it, let's go.
Well,
I
that's-
don't think
Gonna
they
be
tamper
strange.
with
I
the
mean-
market. Like, I think they just let the market go as it is. I think like the only time I've ever really seen CCP intervene is like when it comes to the Plex market, but like when it comes to like just the general item market, it's really rare
TCP's
that
not
they like
equipped
get
to deal
in
with
there.
it.
Like they just
They
like
don't have enough info.
yeah. Well, it's
And
like
I think CCP Rise may have tipped the hand a little bit here when I asked directly about balancing the market, and they had no concerns. They really said they're not going to balance the market when they rebalance ships, because I said there's an indirect correlation between balancing ships and modules and all that all at once, that the market itself is going to have its chaos on their own if they are throwing this all at the same time. Yeah, I think I totally agree. We're going to see an utter bit of chaos, and nobody knows where this is going to go.
Well, look at Spartan BS here in chat. He's got 950 billion in raw moon materials stored. He's not the only one. There are mountains of moon materials stored that were stored a year ago when this stuff was all announced. And so the bigger the chaos for them, the more they can actually sell to the market. And they may have a
Right.
stabilizing effect. They may actually bring the price down from all the people who are trying to get themselves organized to actually get the moon goo. There may be so many materials in reserve that it's not as big as we think it is.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's
Yeah.
reserve is an astounding number, and given the number of years that folks have had the opportunity to create the piles.
So here we have to figure out the bottleneck once again, that we had 6-7 years ago on the technetium, bottleneck so long ago that everybody cashed in on. So I think we could see the same scenario. Hopefully we don't see that, but again, once we start seeing these bottlenecks or wherever that could be, these people who have been stockpiling for years could again triple wealth possibly.
Well,
Yeah.
they're trying to eliminate the bottlenecks. When I read that dev blog, the first thing I got
Right.
out of the
And that's what I see
distribution.
too. I think we still may see those in some things that they never see it until it actually happens.
Yeah, we'll see what we'll see. I guess when they release what the reaction, if they're changing what final tallies are in reactions and alchemy and all that stuff. We'll see any glaring stuff, but I mean,
I really liked, not going back, but what Roden was saying about focusing in on the faction market, since that's telegraphed a bit better, right? They did say that prices were going to go up for battleships, for pirate battleships. And that just basically is a blueprint plus plus minerals. That's all you really need to put those together. Whereas T2 has all kinds of layers that require a whole infrastructure. And that reminded me of this really funny thing that happens in drug enforcement. Not that I know much about it, but that when you crack down on pot, this is a while ago, then that when you do a lot of law enforcement on the lower level stuff that anybody could grow in their backyard, then all the money starts going towards the stuff that can be, labbed, and that takes an infrastructure. And so cartels get more powerful the more you crack down on stuff like, weed, because people start going for the other stuff.
Kind of like how prohibition was the rise of organized crime.
Right. Good time to take
Well,
a drink, isn't it?
now I'm gonna pop a shot. It's shot popping time.
To prohibition.
To prohibition. To prohibition. Let's have some shots. That's the best.
But you're right, Rain. Yeah, they
No, it was just like the
gonna be-
easiest
it's
example, yeah.
interesting.
Well, and
I mean,
now real quick, Chainsaw Plankton. Now this is basically like what it comes down to. He says, I guess the question is, what are the yields on the moon goo roids going to be? And that's the true thing, because we've seen, like, they're letting us know the mechanics of how the moon goo is going to get, harvested and processed, but we don't know the amounts, what values,
that's like
what are the
asking what's Colonel Sanders' recipe for his chicken.
recipe.
Right, it's like what values are we gonna get? What influx of moon materials are we gonna get compared to what we were getting before?
I think the better question would be, is it, whatever it is it valuable enough for you to get your group together to go take that other group's stuff?
Well, I mean that's for combat stuff. I mean, as far as value, it's gonna be like it should be just sheer numbers, right? I mean, like if
Yeah, but it's
if
just
you can
that-
bring in a lot more than what was coming in before, it's gonna go down. But if you can't, if it takes a lot more effort, and if it takes a ton more effort to get the same amount, which you're not always gonna get that same amount of effort. So that's the thing, is like it depends on who's willing to mine this week. And so the values of income is going to fluctuate, as opposed to back before where it's like you got X per hour And so there was X per hour or X per day roughly coming from the entirety of EVE into the market. Because, I mean, aside from like the few people that just went AFK for a week and didn't, man their towers or whatever, but it's like generally it's like this is how much moon material is coming out, and it's a specific amount, you can calculate it. Whereas this is gonna be, who knows what ores are gonna come out in with the moon mining stuff, and how much is gonna be in those ores, how much, like, what's the values we're gonna get, if those values, and who's gonna be like ready to mine. Like, you might have weeks where it's like, I could run a tower, but I don't have time to go mine for a couple hours and get that shit in. So it's like,
Well, that's
you might
where-
have fluctuating influxes of these moon materials coming in, and so the prices might fluctuate a lot more than they did week to week.
Well, that's where alchemy is going to play a huge role in, is how those yields play out. If it's better to just straight up alchemy it out, even though you're getting a lower yield overall, than to go and try and mine this low end stuff. I mean, I feel like that's going to be
probably-
a super important thing to.
I don't know if alchemy can play a large scale role in production. I imagine what would happen is you'd have slack in the system. Like, you'd always want to have certain reserves to insulate yourself from market turns, basically. So you would slow down your selling off of things. You would never leave yourself with nothing. You'd have some kind of reserve. Maybe that's what the stockpiling is about. Because now you're right, you can't predict what you get. First of all, people have to figure out what they have. Then they have to figure out what everybody else has. That's going to take some time. And then you have to figure out, how much stuff can I get reliably. And so you're going to definitely want to buffer that with some slack in the system. I imagine that's what people are thinking.
Yeah, I just want to see destruction, conflict driver. If this doesn't do it, man, I don't know what will, to be honest with you.
If completely shuffling moons around doesn't create some sort of conflict, then
It has to. But if it doesn't, man, that's so telling in a bad way.
yeah.
Well, but are they as valuable as they were? Single point moons, like, are they what they used to be? Are people basically going to say, it's
I think the T2 market will get, if CCP really starts focusing on ship balance and they actually make some of the T2 hulls that are getting completely disused way more valuable, I feel like we could get some actual, like, because T2 right now, like, ship hulls are, I don't know, modules. I mean, ship hulls are a pretty big drain for T2, like, materials. I feel like CCP should start focusing on some. It's all connected, is what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Well, what surprises me is what Roden was saying earlier, is that the T2 market seems pretty stable right now. And I think I don't understand it, except that that people don't really react. I think the majority of people who play the game probably aren't reacting ahead of time, like us or people listening to this show, or even people that are friends with them. I think people just kind of go to the market and buy what they need and then play the game. And so I don't think that giant wave of speculation that has run raw materials really high has kind of pushed the prices for T2 materials up. And that may be one of the questions that get asked tomorrow, is why isn't T2 affected? Like, if you look at jump freighters, take a ton of T2 material, and they're barely creeped up to 8.3 billion right now. And that was
8.3. Last time I bought was 7.5.
Because sets are cheap. Because BPC sets are cheap. You can get research BPC sets for NPC price.
Yeah, but a jump freighter takes a lot of materials.
But is it a lot of expensive materials or a lot of cheap materials?
I imagine everything.
It's. I mean, if they're that over 8 billion, probably a lot of everything.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, you go to
but
Super.
consider that pricing hasn't moved much in the past.
All right. Real quick. So, if anyone's willing to stick around, we'll continue this in the after show. But it is time for a specific part of the show that we've been waiting for all year. Hold on, let me get rid of this picture.
Drum roll.
Do it. Do it,
Drum
Drake.
roll. Okay, so
Do
it is
do
time.
Do it.
It is
I can do it
time
right
for
there.
Game of Thrones spoilers. Now, don't worry, like, you don't have to panic yet. It will be a few seconds before we get into it. But if you haven't seen Game of Thrones, I suggest you tune out now because we're going to go into
But
Game
You
of Thrones
should go
spoilers.
and see it. There's been like what 9 million like pirated views.
90
Like, it's not-
million.
90
90
but
million
it
views.
doesn't matter.
Views.
There are
It's not
people.
that hard to see Game of Thrones, you guys. Go fucking watch Game of
I
Thrones.
know there's people that like to wait till the end of the season so they can binge watch the whole thing all at once. But anyway, so we're gonna roll the video real quick.
You're gonna pirate the video?
There's video?
There we go. Okay. All right. So I started rolling. All right. So we got the video rolling. We're gonna go into Game of Thrones spoilers, and again, just a disclaimer: if you haven't watched it, or you plan to watch it and you haven't watched it yet, and you don't want spoilers, tune out now. Mute the stream. We are going into big spoiler time.
I still haven't finished season 1 yet.
Is this where we tell everyone there's not really any spoilers for this episode?
Shh.
No, there. Okay, so there's been plenty of warning now. There's been plenty of warning. We can go into full spoiler mode. Okay, so first obvious big spoiler: Arya fucking Stark killed the whole Frey family. Like,
Bam!
fucking assassinated.
Not the whole family, only the
All of them.
males. Only the males of the family.
They're the only ones
You
that matter
forget.
in medieval
Brayden,
times. Reigned.
Women have power in this show. It's not like 2017. They actually have power and stuff.
Okay, well,
Well, the
that's
North
possible.
remembers, that's all I'm
I
saying.
won't discount that because Arya is the one that did it, and she's a female of the Stark, and she obviously has a lot of power. But all of the female or all the male heirs and line of the Frey family is dead now because she pulled on some super poison trick. Now here's the thing with that scene, like I saw Walder Frey, I'm like, okay, he's dead. He's acting a little different. That's got to be Arya. She's pulling her mask trick.
So
And-
they actually, I don't know if you saw after the episode. Okay, never mind. Go on first. Like, I'll add it
Well,
later.
okay, so I was like, okay, that's Arya. And it's like, the second she said, I've gathered all the Freys here, and I was like, she's going to kill all of them. How? How is she going to do it? Did she get into the minds of all the, all the female servants and daughters of Frey that hated his guts? Maybe she, like, has some conspiracy. They're going to come out and stab them all. And then the second that girl walks out with the 3 wine jugs, I'm like, poison. All of them getting poisoned. Saw it coming, and they all fucking died horribly.
Well, I was gonna say the producers talked about how the Walder Frey actor actually, like how he portrayed Walder Frey, but portrayed him as though Arya were controlling him. They're like, okay, this, because they originally were gonna have that scene be last, and then they were watching it, and they're like, oh my god, this needs to be the opening scene. This is so good, it has to be.
Yeah, I
what
was
everyone
surprised they
starts the
opened with
season
that. That was the biggest scene of
It
the
was
entire
good.
show, and it was the
It
opening.
was so good.
Yeah, it was. Now, the other things that I saw in the show, aside from that, that were important, like that was obviously like the big giant holy shit moment of the episode, and I was surprised they did it right at the start. Like that was the intro. But there's a few other things that are actually.
I think that was their way of saying this season's shit's gonna get real.
Right. The few
We're only
other
going up from there.
Now, okay, so now Shooter's like, when she did not drink it, I knew it. Yeah, well, okay, yeah, I knew that it was going to be poison when the person was bringing the wine out. I think the soldiers and all the people in the court were like a little too busy taking the toast to notice that Frey didn't take the toast with them.
Yeah.
But
I like what she did with the girl. Don't drink that.
oh yeah,
girl.
the second she said don't drink
Not
that, that's
wasting
when I would have
fine
been like
wine.
drinking, and be like, wait, hold on.
Well, Walder Frey has never been nice to the women.
I
that he's
know, but at
wedded
the
or
same
vetted,
time, it's like,
so-
But, yeah,
He's
that was a
making
nice
all of
irony,
us
though.
drink, and he doesn't want this side person to drink. It would have
Yeah.
made me suspicious, but that's just because I know the background, I guess. Like, none of them would have guessed that Arya Stark was there looking like Walder Frey. So that's just, I guess, me having a bias because of omnipotence. But
Because of what?
omnipotence. All-knowing, all-seeing,
Oh,
knowledge behind the scenes.
thought you're talking about a personal problem.
You're an editor, Matterall. You can't tell me what
So wait.
omniscient
I-
third point of
I
view.
knew what it was. I was
Okay,
joking.
okay.
Before
No,
you
it
talk
is.
about whatever you're talking about, can we acknowledge the fact that this season, or that this episode really set up the whole season, but didn't really have any spoilers? Like, you talk about the
There
opening
wasn't a
scene
lot
as
of
though
big
it were
ones.
spoilers.
Well, I
Like,
think there's
yeah.
a lot of there was a lot of foreshadowing this year, where even
Yes.
the
yes.
guest appearance by Ed Sheeran, the
No,
song
that was awful.
he was
Ed
talking
Sheeran,
about
I thought, yeah.
was great, but he was singing with the man with the golden hand. Okay, so we're talking about Lannister,
Jaime.
right? Jaime. We're talking about Jaime. And if you notice where Jaime was standing on the map when he was talking to Cersei, he was standing outside the fingers. So fingers.
You notice a
Cersei-
lot of
wait.
That's
Cersei,
good. That's good.
Cersei was standing on the neck in the map.
That's awesome.
Well, that was the prophecy, right? That
Yes,
Cersei
that's her
would be
prophecy.
strangled
Exactly, yes.
by the but it's by the hands of her younger brother.
True.
So
No,
it's
brother,
been
not
acknowledged that Tyrion obviously is her younger brother, but she was also born before Jaime,
Oh, that's
which
right.
is her twin. But Jaime
Right.
only has one hand.
One hand.
Well, that's the
but
thing.
we can't forget about Tyrion. Or yeah.
And
Tyrion,
speaking of Tyrion, I've heard a lot of predictions that Tyrion is actually one of the 3 dragon riders. So you have Dany, who's
Really?
obviously going to fly a fucking
Yeah.
dragon. Well, Tyrion, when he released the dragons, they didn't really attack him.
No,
they
they
didn't really
didn't.
listen to him, but they didn't attack him like they've done every other time people are down there. So people were saying, okay, well, maybe Tyrion, with his magical powers, is a dragon rider, and then you have Jon Snow, half Targaryen. They've already predicted that from the last season.
Yep.
The producers confirmed it. He's Lyanna Stark's son or whatever, and the Targaryen son. So technically Daenerys is his aunt, so he's half Targaryen, so he'll fly a dragon.
Well, now
Well,
here's the thing with
Could be that
with
Tyrion's
Jon.
just small.
The funny thing is, like, because in the last season, Daenerys is like, I need to find a strong king that's opposed to the Iron Throne, and I'm gonna marry them. And guess who that is? Jon Snow. The funny thing is, like, Jon is the son
Cousins.
of Daenerys' brother, so that makes Jon her nephew by blood, and I guarantee they're gonna get married, which would be
It's so weird though, because like
it's so horrible. But the same thing is like
it's so weird because it's like
It's-
the whole season was built on Cersei and Jaime's forbidden love of incest, right?
But
and now
they
everyone
claim that they're like what the Targaryens, because
Yeah,
here's the
they
thing.
did
well,
all
the
the time.
Targaryens have always done
For
this,
history,
right?
Targaryens always married brother to sister.
Yeah, but I mean, like now that they're talking, they're like, "Oh, Daenerys is just his aunt. It's not a big deal." And it's like, I would never marry somebody
Well,
that closely
right,
related to me. Like you'd
because-
have to be like the fucking 10th cousin to
Because
even like remotely find
incest
you
and-
attractive.
Incest in the modern day and age is abhorrent. But if you even go back even to like medieval times, like they wouldn't marry like brother and sister. That was like full incest. That was unacceptable. But they would marry like cousins. They would marry like nephews, cousins. Like they would like that was a thing. And even in Roman times, like shit, there was
Right,
even
can I
Roman
just-
emperors that literally married their blood nephews or nieces or whatever. Like, and the thing is like in Roman times. Incest was more based on the male line as opposed to the female line. So if you married your niece that was through your sister, it was not seen as incest. But if you married the daughter of your brother, that was full incest. And that was abhorrent. So like back in Roman times, like they put that divide in there, but still, like, I mean, it wasn't just in Roman times, it's all through medieval ages. Like it was all like intermarrying through like, extended family. But even the Targaryens, they always married literally blood brother and sister. And so the fact that it's like an aunt and a nephew is actually kind of a loose
Yes.
incestual bound compared to the norm for Targaryens. So like that
Keith-
wouldn't be that big of a stretch.
Keys 2000 is asking if you're defending incest. The answer is
I'm not defending incest. Incest is fucking gross. I'm just saying it's happened in the past. I'm glad I was not a Roman
My
emperor
God.
in the fucking 100s AD. Or
I-
Claudius. Literally
I-
Claudius. He was
yeah.
not in the 100s, but he was like the 50s or so AD. Claudius literally married
Yeah.
his niece. Like blood
No.
niece. And not like that was actually like bad, like taboo for them because it was his niece from his brother, and so it was actually like an incestual marriage even in the Roman eyes.
Yikes. The two things that bothered me, and then I'll shut up, is the Ed Sheeran was just too obvious, and then the poop sequence was too long.
Oh yeah, I
What sequence?
Poop,
I've dubbed it
Poop and stew.
poop
Oh
and,
yeah.
poop and soup. the poop and soup scene.
I can't hear this.
The fucking poop
Thanks,
and
guys.
soup scene lasted 10 minutes. It's like, all right, I got it. He's got a shitty daily job where he's got to clean out fucking diarrhea-filled
And then he's
bedpans on a daily
the best
basis.
part
But I'm
is
tired
he's
of
like-
seeing it. I want to eat stew, and I can't eat stew for a month now. I just refuse.
The best part is then like immediately after that he's like, "Yo, I want to learn about the White Walkers," and they're like, "Okay, man, you're asking too many questions. We'll let you learn about the White Walkers." He's like, "Oh, dragon
shit!
glass.
Oh shit! Hold on.
Dragonstone is low dragon glass."
All right,
wait, do we need
we're
to leave?
actually over time. Sorry. Game Spoilers up next. We actually cut in 2 minutes into our time. We're out of here. We're heading off to the after show. We will catch you guys later. Later, bitches.
Later, bitches.
Later, bitches.